Well, what do you think? This is the new Sit, Paint, and Play studio. This will be the studio for the remainder of, oh, probably just the remainder of May. And then once I move into the apartment, I'll have a new desk, and I'll kind of show that off to you guys whenever we get there. So I thought I'd just show you guys this really fast before I went ahead and um, made this next video. So enjoy. Hey, Sit, Paint, and Play fans. This is Sit, Paint, and Play, obviously. Today I'm going to be doing something called a unit breakdown. So basically I'm going to take two characters or units or whatever is there, and I'm pretty much going to give you their stats, their abilities, how those kind of work out, their attacks and whatnot, and then how I would tactically use them in my army. So, we're going to go ahead and just start at the very beginning of the Skaven army book and work our way to the end. So today is Thanquol and Bone Ripper and a Skaven Grey Seer. So Thanquol has a movement of asterisk, a 4+ save, 7 bravery, and 13 wounds. Thanquol and Bone Ripper are good distance. They have good distance for a character, either 2-inch melee attacks, and then an 8-inch on their range attack. The Warp Fire Thrower, or sorry, I apologize. It is the not the Warp Fire Thrower, but the Warp Fire Projector. That's what it is. I apologize. At 8 inches, does 2d6 mortal wounds to a unit. And then Thanquol has a Staff of the Horned Rat, which is 2 attacks at -1 rend, and it does d3 damage, and that is at a 2 distance. Bone Ripper also has the option, instead of the Warp Fire projectors, he has the Warp Fire Brazers, which are kind of like bracelets or metal fists or something. I'm not sure exactly how to describe them, but I know that they have warp in them, warp stone in them, which you can also equip. It has 4 attacks at -2 rend with 3 damage each, and that's at that 2 inches of range. So that can be pretty stinking powerful. Bone Ripper also has something called Crushing Blows. It's 6 attacks on -1 rend and 2 damage. Thanquol and Bone Ripper together in the hero phase heal 1 wound. That's definitely some tough mothers right there, man, for sure. So even if you really get them into combat and they start getting bumped down a little bit, or maybe if they're up against a weaker unit that are causing slowly wounds over time, you're definitely going to make them much more survivable. Thanquol can attempt to cast 2 spells and dispel 2 spells. So he can cast 2, and then during your enemy's spell phase, he can dispel 2. So that's, as far as a wizard goes, there's not a whole bunch of them out there that can do that. So that's really coming over the top there, making them a lot more powerful. Thanquol also, on top of knowing Mystic Shielding, Arcane Bolt, and Scorch, which I'll go over in a second, also can absorb other Skaven wizards' knowledge within 13 inches of him, as long as he's within that 13 inches of that model. So let's say you're 8 inches away from, pardon me, the Skaven Grey Seer. You will also know Vermintide as well as all your other spells. Like I said, Scorch from earlier it's basically a huge range attack. Basically, Thanquol, as long as he can see a unit within 26 inches, and if you're going based off of his eyesight, usually he's standing on top of Bone Ripper, so it gives him even more of an advantage. He does d3 mortal wounds to that squad, but if it's against Skaven, it's actually d6 wounds. So that can be pretty stinking powerful depending on how you go about it. They also have Blessing of the Horned Rat, which allows a unit within 13 inches to ignore wounds on a 6+. And if the unit has 13 or more units, add +1 to this result. So basically, if you roll a 5, you'd add +1 if it has 13 or more units, making it a 6, saving additional units. And that's for any, like if a unit gets wounded, they're within 13 inches, Thanquol and Bone Ripper, you get to be able to save those on a 6+. And honestly, you'd be crazy not to have these guys in the larger armory. In smaller games, you might lose some friends. I'm not going to be honest. These guys are pretty over the top, really powerful. This is probably, I think, one of the best parts of the Skaven army. Definitely very potent, especially for not a whole ton of wounds. I mean, 13 wounds for what you're really going to get out of this guy is definitely going to be. He's definitely going to balance out. I think as far as how I would run him, I would run them either in the very front of some clan rats or some storm vermin, or I would run them within like back one row of guys, because you have that 2-inch reach, so you're going to be able to reach over your guys to hit the enemy if you're in base-to-base contact, more or less. Also, if you want to, you could probably run them a little further back in a unit, like midway back or almost all the way back, because a lot of your moves and abilities are a good distance. You have your 8 inches, and then your 26 inches on your warp fire projector is 8 inches, and then you have Scorch, which is 26 inches. So that allows you to do lots of damage before the enemy even honestly gets to you. So that's how I would run him. He's pretty stinking powerful, so I would definitely recommend grabbing him. He is an expensive model. I think it's roughly about $70 to $80 retail from Games Workshop, and even on eBay, you're still looking at a pretty hefty price. It's still like, even for the old version of Thanquol and Bone Ripper, we're still talking $30-40, so you might as well just buy the new one. So, Skaven Grey Seer. Bleh. He has a 6-inch movement, 5+ save, 6 bravery, and 5 wounds. This character is mainly a support character, honestly. I really wouldn't be throwing him right into the thick of battle, although it can stand up for itself with 1 attack, -1 rend, and D3 damage with a 2-inch range staff. So if it does get into combat with a simple model, you can definitely dart out of there if need be. So it can take care of business if it has to. They can use Warpstone tokens to reroll failed spells at the cost of a wound. So with that 5 wounds, that allows you to at least do 1 or 2 rerolls if you fail on a 1 for your spells. They know Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Vermintide spell, and this is within 26 inches of the Skaven Grey Seer, you roll a d6 for each model. Okay, sorry, let me start that over. If there's a unit within 26 inches of your Grey Seer, for each model you roll a dice, and every 6 causes a mortal wound. So basically, it's a very, very low chance, but still a chance to cause a mortal wound on a character, especially if you have a whole horde army of orcs or whatever that you're going up against. You can roll a whole bunch of dice, hopefully knock down a couple of them before they really get in there. And then also they have something called Underlings Will Not Flee, Must Fight. This basically is within 26 inches of the Grey Seer. Units that fail a battle shock test on a 4+ ignore the flee rule because they are more scared of the Grey Seer than they are the enemy. So I would keep this guy at the back of a large squad to keep clan rats and stuff like that from running away. They also know the Vermintide spell, so basically you're going to be able to blast that onto people as you go into combat, because that's 26 inches, so that's at least I would say a good roughly 2 turns of roughly about 2 turns of being able to blast the enemy typically before they really get to you. So you can at least put down at least 4 or 5 wounds tops, on average before the enemy really gets to you, which will kind of help out in the long run. So just keep them in the back away from combat and use them more as a support character than anything, just to keep your guys from running off. So anyways, that's the 2. Those are the 2 for the day, and I will keep up